Welcome to room 2907, a premier one-bedroom corner suite at the Equinox Hotel in the Hudson Yards neighborhood of Manhattan. The dim and moody hallway leads us into our spacious living room, brightly lit by large windows at the far end. Behind me is a foyer nook with a stone floor and a dark mirror opposite the door. The living room is an ample size with a coat closet next to the room door, a full wet bar behind the couch which sits opposite the TV, and a large coffee table. The couch features a lounger section, deep front cushions, though a low back, and those white boxes under the coffee table are leather ottomans. From there we walk into the bedroom, which has a king-size bed, more large windows, an armchair with another ottoman, and a 55-inch class TV. The main bathroom is behind the TV wall, featuring a decent amount of counter space, a single large sink with a questionable faucet layout that I'll show shortly, a standard-sized bathtub with a weirdly huge shelf around it, and a spacious shower, which features a variety of shower heads, including a standard one, rainfall, handheld, and 4 body sprays. Shared washing fluids with Equinox branding are provided from Grown Alchemist, which is certainly better than a Child Alchemist in my experience. There's a super heavy looking, yet lightweight, stool in the corner and a very nice view. Next to the shower is the toilet cubicle, or WC as you might prefer. Extra teepee is provided, as well as a box containing sanitary bags. The loo roll is below average, being as thin as anything you'd find at a public restroom in a bus station. The toilet itself, though being Toto branded, is pretty average if a bit on the small side. No bidet functions or anything. Under the sink is a digital scale, just in case you're on vacation and want to feel particularly bad, or good, about yourself, depending. Yes, this hotel is either owned, operated, and or branded by the gym company Equinox, so its whole shtick is fitness and well-being. The scale seems to be accurate. This is the Orb of Cotton. Both swabs and pads. The hand soap is listed as cactus flower, cedarwood atlas, and taxonomic flavor. It smelled pleasant. I just want to put this out there right away. The sinks here are stupid. What I mean is that the spout is incredibly close to the basin and pretty low. Also, it's on the side of the sink, if you hadn't noticed. I don't know how, hundreds of years of sink design has led to this, but it's not optimal. There's a couple of cups and tissues, with extra towels underneath. Just a cutaway while I'm talking about it, but I've forgotten to look in this drawer where there's lots of other stuff. A shower cap, articulated hand mirror, and a chic Dyson hairdryer with various attachments, including a giant flouncer thing that's bigger than the appliance itself. The tub has a handheld shower head, I guess bath head in this case. And despite my criticisms of the sink, and upcoming additional criticisms about the plumbing, I think the hardware has a very elegant, modern, minimalistic look.
Minimalism, modernism.
The entire suite has a robust room automation package, with lots of these controls on the wall, plus a tablet that we'll check out later. Lots more towels, as well as a bath mat, are situated right where you need them. Outside the bathroom is this dressing area, which features a nice sized closet with wooden hangers and a cool LED strip light at the top. To the left of that is a full-length mirror with likewise full-length lighting. Getting back to the bedroom, this bedside table holds a lamp. I'm not sure what you'd call this style, but I like it. Integrated into the headboard above is a reading light, room controls, USB ports, and a standard outlet. Only on this side of the bed is a standard hotel-style cordless phone, as well as a book of rituals. That book is available in PDF form on Equinox's website, link in the description if you're curious. On the bed are 2 blankets. They're folded in half here, so each are about the size of the bed itself. I think this is a fantastic innovation as it foils your partner from stealing your blanket in their sleep. Or, if you're by yourself or really want to snuggle up, you can combine both of them into a double mega blanket. There are 4 pillows, which are large and firmer than average. Overall, I was a fan. On the other hand, I found the mattress to be uncomfortably firm. We'll take a look at that later, but it of course comes down to personal preference. On this side of the bed, everything in the headboard is a mirror image of the right side, except instead of a lamp and a phone, there's a tablet sitting in a charging dock. Of course, the TV isn't exactly positioned at an optimal viewing angle from the bed, but it has an articulating mount that can point it somewhat at the bed, or in the other direction for viewing from this chair. Overall, the bedroom is a serene and quiet place with an understated interior design that I enjoy. Incidentally, the first night of our stay at the Equinox turned out to be the same as the autumnal Equinox, which was a completely unplanned yet mildly amusing coincidence. This stay was in late September of 2023 at a rate of $2,175 per night, which was reduced to $1,522 for the second night due to a 30% discount from Equinox's Sweet Dreams deal that was running at the time. So a total of $3,697 for both nights, not including taxes and extras. Alright, back to the tour. Moving from the bedroom back towards the living room, we find yet another door. This is the powder room, or a guest bathroom, I don't know what they call it. It's a pretty good size at any rate, and while 2 bathrooms in the same hotel suite is certainly a luxury, they can also be a necessity in certain urgent cases. But generally I really appreciate it because I'm more of a night owl than Amanda, and so she can sleep undisturbed when I use the facilities. Anyways, 2 bathrooms is better than 1 for any number of reasons, and it's very nicely appointed with everything you'd expect, but this sink is perhaps worse than the other one. The tap is even closer to the edge, meaning it's nearly impossible to wash your hands without getting water all over the counter, and some on the floor. Let's get back to the living room, which was probably the most logical place to start a tour, but whatever. The 2 little covered dishes contained vegan cheese and a single chocolate square. Although, full disclosure, Amanda might have eaten the other one before I got to it. Those snacks were complimentary, as were the waters, but most of what you'll find in this area is not. The only stuff on the complimentary front is what's in this box. Nespresso pods, 3 kinds of tea, slated for everything from laziness to motivation, sugar, and coconut creamer powder that was surprisingly good. This is my first time seeing this exact model of Nespresso machine, but I did figure out how to use it after prodding at it briefly. Now, this area is a proper wet bar, and surprisingly they did know how to install a sink correctly after all, because, you know, the tap is actually in the back, behind the sink, where you'd expect it to be. Next to the ice bucket are lighting controls for the bar area, and it's a small touch, but I appreciate that the bucket is well insulated. Behind that is a water bottle and filler tap, which is really cool but also feels kind of gimmicky. I'm guessing it's the 10 micron filtered water promised in the suite features, but I'm not really sure as it didn't say anywhere. Lots of alcohol and glassware options, the liquor being mostly in 375 milliliter sizes at anywhere from $75 to $185. I've said it before, but while these larger bottles are classier than the tiny airplane ones, it also means you're committed to a particular drink once you crack one open. I mean, that can be a benefit if they stock something that you particularly fancy, but I mean, look, you're in Manhattan where there's no lack of liquor stores in walking distance, so there's no real reason to pay these kinds of prices. We usually just bring our own from home. For example, I highly recommend this premix old-fashioned, if that's your thing. I felt like maybe we were missing something in these drawers, like it was supposed to be extra wine storage or something. And this wasn't a big deal to us as we didn't end up wanting any of these beverages, but besides being overloaded and in disarray, this drawer fridge didn't actually work. It felt a bit warmer than room temperature in there. It definitely had power, but was just broken. Though Brooklyn Beer and Fever Tree Tonic Water are solid offerings. I didn't see what was in this hole at first, but the fridge can be locked by the staff, I guess, if you have kids in the room. Now that I think back, there's also a lock for the upper drawers, so I'm guessing that's where the staff would stash the rest of the alcohol if you requested it to be inaccessible. To the right of the bar are some fitness-related items. These are cork bricks, which you use for exercising. Yoga, I'm told. This tube also has myriad benefits for one's health, as does this ball in a mesh bag. I'm not a fitness guy, so I guess you'll know if you need them or not. They are free to use, but not to take home. There's a safe that could probably fit a small laptop. A larger safe in the coat closet probably would have made more sense though. Next to it are bags for laundering your gym attire. The card says that it's complimentary for Equinox Club members, $10 otherwise, and can be used once per day. They give an approximate 2-hour turnaround time, and overall this is a great service for a gym hotel. The cabinet to the left of the bar has stuff that's more focused on post-workout with a collagen mask, condoms, and the best paste, for when the worst paste just won't do. Above that are numerous overpriced yet wholesome and natural looking snacks. Now, when I say the stuff in here is overpriced, I suppose you can judge for yourself. Here are some up-to-date pictures I took of the in-room tablet, though I didn't get every single item. Please pause on any you'd like to peruse further. $12 for hand sanitizer? Post 2020. There's also a sex patch, for when patchless sex just won't do. The living room TV area is quite good. Right off the bat, they provide a Belkin Cube thing that has USB and regular outlets, great for charging or for portable media devices. Next to that is an LG soundbar that's connected to the TV, also LG. And over on the left are the soundbar and TV remotes. The TV has a Chromecast receiver built in for streaming media from your phone or tablet. It's essentially the Google equivalent of AirPlay, except that it can be used on both Apple and Android devices. Nice. I always look behind the TV because I tend to bring a Roku with me. Hotel TV programming usually isn't all that appealing, and if they support streaming services, I either don't want to use my login information on their equipment, or in this case, I don't want to tie down my phone to streaming on the TV. And this is yet another hotel that doesn't hide their internet connectivity behind a captive portal, which is an excellent trend that I've been seeing. Simply connecting to the Wi-Fi was enough to get a respectable 54 megabit connection, which is more than enough to stream even 4K video. Speaking of technology, USB ports integrated into the design of a room are a convenient touch, but damaged or cheap and poorly made USB power supplies could potentially harm your device, so I've taken to checking them for the sake of these reviews. All 4 of the ones in the bedroom worked fine, but for such a new hotel I was surprised not to find USB-C ports or fast charge capabilities. I mean, they're fine for overnight charging though. I've got one very minor gripe about the room automation. It would be great if the wall-mounted buttons had backlights, at least for the panels nearest to room doors, in particular the bathrooms. Overall, everything worked flawlessly. The tablet is an iPad mini in a hospitality case, and it was very responsive and well laid out. Each room was on a different screen, and the lights as well as the shades and HVAC could be controlled. And by the way, not only does the tablet present the prices for the items in the room bar, but you can also request they be replenished. Information about the Equinox Gym and Soul Cycle on premises is available. I didn't use either myself, but you should note the gym is open to both Equinox members and hotel guests, and we've heard that it can get real crowded. The section on the tablet about the spa is just the public website, so if you're interested in more details and pricing, head over to the hotel's homepage. But we didn't make use of that either on this trip. You can request laundry service via the tablet, which is a nice touch, though it is a pretty basic form that doesn't show pricing, details, and seems to have forgotten where the submit button goes. Okay, I'll admit I'm nitpicking. There's also a section with info about Hudson Yards, which, let me just say, I find fascinating from an infrastructure and construction standpoint. This area is called Hudson Yards because of the Hudson River and the MTA train yard next to the hotel building, which is called the West Side Yard nowadays. Well, the yard isn't really next to, but under the building, which is why it's fascinating. This is what the area looked like in 1995, and in 2001, and as recently as 2014. This is the rail yard, which is mainly used to stack Long Island Railroad commuter trains, which will go from here into Penn Station and then on to Long Island. You can also see tracks here running under a building that has since been demolished and out the other side, to run under the old post office building that now houses part of Penn Station, the tracks and platforms of which are still underground. Well, here's what the site looks like now-ish, this being the most recent photo on Google Earth from September 2022. An immense platform was constructed over the rail yard as well as the tracks leading to the yard, upon which multiple skyscrapers were constructed. The platform alone took 2 years and over $2 billion to build, all while trains were coming and going underneath. These two photos were only taken 6 years apart, and this most recent one really shows the scale of what was created here. It's said to be the most expensive real estate development project in US history, at a cost of about $25 billion. The Equinox building, 35 Hudson Yards, is situated on that platform, suspended over train tracks that have sat on this spot in one form or another since about 1851, when the Hudson River Railroad built a depot here. I'll stop digressing about this now, but if you find this sort of thing interesting, the B1M has done a few videos on the Hudson Yards redevelopment project, and is a great channel in general. Link in the description. Back to the Equinox, the building has a ground floor lobby that contains a security guard and/or porters as well as elevators. In other words, this isn't where you check in. That's done at the proper lobby on the 25th floor, accessed by 2 express elevators. Once checked in, there's another elevator bank that serves guest floors 25 through 38, which require room cards to access, as well as the 24th floor, which has the Electric Lemon restaurant, bar, and terrace. The hallways up here are dimly, yet I think tastefully lit, being very sedate in design. The camera is compensating by making it look a bit brighter than it looks in person, but it looks great. The premier one-bedroom suite that we're in today is sold with either a skyline view or a vessel view. I had booked the skyline view as the website made it seem like you'd be staring pretty much into the vessel from a lower floor. I was disappointed a couple of days before our trip because the hotel moved us to a vessel view room, which I thought was a downgrade, but it turns out to probably be the better choice. Being a bit of a train and infrastructure nerd, I thoroughly enjoyed having a view into the rail yard, but probably more appealing is that you get river views as well as a nice skyline view, plus you can look into the vessel as expected, but it's far below what their own website leads you to believe. Hotel rooms start on the 25th floor, so you'd be unlikely to have a bad view from any room. Views from this window, as well as the bathroom windows, face south and are definitely what I would call skyline views, as a compliment. But what if you don't want the view, and instead you want what the tablet calls dark, quiet, cool mode? The Equinox Hotel prides themselves on this and make mention of next-generation blackout blinds on their website. This isn't just marketing junk. These are hands down the most effective blackout curtains I've seen in a hotel, especially on windows this large. The curtains run in a deep padded track on either side and land in a padded groove at the bottom. They really do block out just about all the outside light. They're probably not too shabby when it comes to thermal gain and loss either. They're also heavy, which I'm sure helps with the soundproofing, another tout of the Equinox. And that brag is fair too, as this was almost certainly the quietest hotel room in any major city in my experience. That's probably helped by the fact that Hudson Yards is sorta out of the way of the action, and is itself especially quiet at night. But I have to note that there's a heliport next to the river, and we couldn't hear actual helicopters from just over there, like at all. The only hotel at which I've stayed that has bigger windows and probably better soundproofing is the TWA Hotel at JFK Airport, where an actual A380 can taxi past and come through just as a whisper. But even that whisper is louder than what we couldn't hear at the Equinox. Now, speaking of the area being quiet, we went for a walk a little after midnight, having been cooped up in the room for most of this rainy day. This aesthetic might not please everyone, but I thought the vessel and whole complex looked amazing, deserted and shrouded in mist. Seeing as we were in the room most of the day, we availed ourselves of room service ordered via the tablet. Though expensive, this was top-notch in-room dining. The grilled cheeses were crunchy and delicious, the Caesar salad came chopped and with lots of dressing, and even though it's not my thing, the heirloom squash soup was really good. And I'm not really a fry guy, as evidenced by the fact that I opted for the polenta fries. Those were really tasty, but the french fries that Amanda got with her sandwich were phenomenal. Like, possibly best I ever had. Service at the Equinox was also tremendous. Room service arrived very quickly in under half an hour. Oh, and also the next morning we'd scheduled breakfast for an 11 a.m. delivery, and it arrived at 11:01, near perfect as makes no difference. Our breakfast was even delivered by the same staff member that had brought lunch, and not only was she incredibly friendly and kind, but she actually remembered what we had ordered the day before and asked if we enjoyed our grilled cheeses and soup. After our recent baffling inability to get ice from another upscale New York hotel, that's the Amman in my prior video, I'd also like to note two more things about the Equinox. They brought up a huge bucket of ice on our first request both nights of our stay, in just over 10 minutes each time. This was before we discovered that during turndown service they'd proactively filled the in-room ice bucket in anticipation of a nightcap. Also, the front desk staff were polite and friendly. Just like at the Amman, only they seem to be warmer, genuine, and more engaged here. The housekeeping department at the Equinox is also beyond reproach, as the room is filled with mirror-finished plumbing fixtures, large actual mirrors, and immense dark mirror panels near the entryway. All of those were immaculate on our arrival, I mean completely spotless, as was everything in the suite. In other words, A+ experience with service during our first stay. While the Equinox doesn't have under-bed night lighting, they do have oblique dimmable lights in the bedroom and bathrooms that are just about perfect. In fact, it's particularly well thought out in the bathrooms because it keeps the light out of your eyes and where it's needed instead. Just because I'm a suspicious kind of guy, I'm going to start measuring hotel rooms from now on. Based on my mildly half-assed measurements, Equinox isn't taking any liberties with the room sizes, as this does work out to about 770 square feet. Not that I'm accusing anyone else of fudging their numbers. Like I said, I'm just a natural skeptic. Back in the room, I wanted to show you the elegant pocket doors that separate the living room from the bedroom. They're heavy, close smoothly and silently, and are overall quite appealing visually. There are similar doors between the bedroom and main bathroom. The door to the powder room was a little squeaky though. HVAC was excellent, having separate controls for the living room and bedroom, both via these wall units and the tablet. According to the Equinox's website, the suite has clinical-grade filtered air of the MERV 15 variety. The climate control was quiet and unusually switched from AC to heat when needed. A lot of hotels will only provide air conditioning or heating depending on the season. Oh, and the stone floor of the bathroom was heated, I think all the time. Very nice. In fact, let's get back to the bathroom for a moment. I did measure the tub as well, and it came out to be an underwhelming 2 feet wide by 4.75 feet long. We didn't make use of the tub, but the shower is another story. Weirdly, while the water pressure in the sinks was pretty unenthusiastic, the shower was unbelievably powerful. In fact, the body jets were comically strong, to the point that we couldn't use them comfortably at full whack. That's not a complaint, I'd much rather have too much pressure than too little. One oddity was with the nozzle selector valve. Although there were 4 options for where the water could go, only 2 could be active at the same time, and it had to be the 2 that were next to each other on the dial. In other words, you could have the regular shower head and the rainfall going, but not the rainfall and the hand nozzle. You could have the handheld and body spray turned on, but not the regular shower head. Also, I'm sure this makes sense and I'm just not getting it, but the knob has an H on the left and a C on the right, while the plate behind it has them reversed. Last thing I'll say about the shower is that either the shower heads are too powerful for the drain or the drain was a bit clogged. At any rate, the shower pan would fill up pretty quickly, so we couldn't go all out with the water pressure even on the shower heads we wanted to. Oh, and the bath towels have the little loop thing on them for hanging.
Neat!
While I was in the mood for measuring stuff, I can tell you the back of the couch is only 14 inches high, which isn't high enough. I mean, it's decently comfortable, and maybe I'm the one who's just too tall, but it's not conducive to real solid lounging. Something I missed on our first walkthrough is the coat closet, which has ventilated doors, presumably for airing out your workout clothes or letting wet coats dry more quickly. They also provide a handheld steamer, which is a nice touch. No umbrellas though, as that stylish leopard print model belongs to Amanda.
Oh, ow.
And the last thing I want to show you is back in the bedroom. The mattress is part of an Equinox custom king-size bed, handcrafted, all natural fibers. This is splitting hairs, but under the mattress cover it seems there are 2 smaller mattresses pushed together. Maybe that's what makes the king-size bed custom? That's covered up by a thick mattress topper, and all that is made by Cocomat and Equinox branded. And to be fair, you can't really feel the gap between the mattresses when you're lying on the bed. Look, beds are definitely a personal thing, so all I can say is that I prefer not this bed. Now granted, I had a few negative things to say about the Equinox Hotel in this video, but those were pretty minor complaints in the grand scheme of things. Overall, we had an excellent experience with both the hard product and the staff, and based on this stay, I would absolutely recommend the Equinox. Service was beyond reproach, the suite was comfortable, and for the most part met or exceeded my expectations. Little things like chucking some freebie snacks in the RoomBar, a few more back-supporting cushions on the couch, and amenities like mouthwash, toothpaste, and etc. would be nice, but ultimately not a big deal. The technology worked well, and the room was pristine and properly maintained. Except for the bar fridge, which I'm going to assume was a one-off failure and probably would have been fixed had we been bothered enough to call for maintenance. While Hudson Yards isn't a hotspot for nightlife, it's got a few tourist-friendly attractions with easy access to the Highline Park, the Vezel, which is currently closed, the highest and bestest outdoor observation deck in the Western Hemisphere. Okay, it sounds like I'm being sarcastic, but it actually looks pretty cool. And some shopping. Oh, and diagonal elevators that an Italian company in the MTA couldn't get right and held up a multi-billion-dollar infrastructure project for over 2 years. But diagonal elevators do sound pretty cool. To me, anyway. It's such a new development that it doesn't have its own cultural identity, let alone the history that you'd find in neighborhoods around most hotels in Manhattan. But there's lots of transit within walking distance, and there's something to be said for laying your head down away from all the noise and commotion. Just like beds, hotels come down to personal preference, and so I hope I've given you enough information to decide if it's someplace you'd like to stay. As with all my reviews, this one was not sponsored nor endorsed in any way. If you found this video helpful, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more hotel and travel reviews in New York and beyond.